Simon Cowell is in the hospital with a broken back after he fell off of an electric bicycle in Malibu. According to a spokesperson, Cowell was expected to have surgery last night.
I was petrified about it, by the way. And, we got through it. And I think it was during that time period when I started to think about things.
Simon Cowell built an empire on judgment. A man worth hundreds of millions. Global fame. A face recognized from Los Angeles to London. The architect behind shows that didn't just find stars, they manufactured them. American Idol. The X Factor. Britain's Got Talent. He sat at the center of it all. The voice. The verdict, the executioner of dreams. Cold, precise, unapologetic. But here's what nobody asks. What happens when the man who built his life judging others is left alone to face himself? Because behind the sharp suits and sharper words, there's a different story. A quieter one. A man who spent decades shaping the world but slowly lost control of his own. The prison of power. Simon Cowell didn't just create television. He created expectation. Every pause, every raised eyebrow, every brutal no. It became currency. People didn't just watch him. They feared him, respected him, needed him. He turned honesty into entertainment and cruelty into ratings. But the same machine that made him powerful trapped him. Because when your identity is built on being right, there's no room left to be human. No room to be wrong. No room to be fragile. No room to fall apart. That's the prison. A goal.
But before we get started, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe button, because you never know when YouTube decides to hide my videos from your homepage. And of course, leave your thoughts in the comments section. Now, let's jump into it. A golden one. Polished, applauded, broadcast to millions. But still, a prison. Back to the beginning. Before the empire, there was a boy trying to prove something. Simon Cowell wasn't born into struggle the way people expect. He grew up in London, comfortable, connected. His father, Eric Cowell, was a music industry executive, a man who understood power, and more importantly, how easily it could disappear. Simon didn't grow up hungry for food. He grew up hungry for approval. That's a different kind of hunger. Quieter. More dangerous. Because you can't satisfy it. School didn't work. Rules didn't fit. Authority didn't stick. He wasn't the best student. Not the most disciplined. Not the most promising. He drifted. From job to job, office to office. Mailroom work, runner jobs, small roles that felt even smaller. He wasn't building a future. He was avoiding failure. But failure has a way of catching up. The first collapse. By his early 30s, Simon Cowell had already failed. Not publicly, not dramatically, but internally. Business ventures collapsed. Money disappeared. Reputation? Non-existent. He was living at home again. Back to the beginning. Back to the same walls. The same expectations. The same quiet question hanging in the air. What happened to you? This is where most stories end. But for Simon, this was the ignition point. Because failure didn't break him. It humiliated him. And humiliation became fuel. The obsession. Simon didn't want success. He needed it. Not for wealth, not for fame, for validation. To prove that the drifting, directionless version of himself wasn't the truth. So he locked in. Music publishing, artist development, relentless focus. He studied the industry like a surgeon studies anatomy. What works, what sells, what connects. And more importantly, what doesn't. He wasn't chasing art. He was chasing impact.
Then came television, and everything changed. Pop Idol. A simple concept. Unknown singers, public votes, judges deciding their fate. But Simon Cowell didn't play the role. He redefined it. While others softened their words, he sharpened his. While others encouraged, he cut through illusion. You're not good enough. That was terrible. This isn't for you. Brutal. Honest. Addictive. Audiences didn't turn away. They leaned in. Because for the first time, someone was saying what everyone else was thinking. The rise. From there, it exploded. American Idol took it global. Millions watching. Careers launched overnight. Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood. Stars born under his gaze. Then came the X Factor. Then Britain's Got Talent. Each one bigger. Each one louder. Each one tightening the grip of the machine he built. Simon Cowell became more than a judge. He became a standard.
But here's the part no one sees. Despite the fame, the money, the influence, there was always something missing. Respect. Not from audiences, not from contestants, from the industry itself, from critics, from the cultural gatekeepers who saw him not as a visionary, but as a businessman, a manipulator of taste, a manufacturer of disposable stars. It didn't matter how many hits he created, how many careers he launched. There was always a whisper. He's not real. And that whisper never left. The personal cost. Success didn't simplify his life. It complicated it. Relationships came and went. Fast. Intense. Short-lived. Not because he couldn't connect, but because connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability was something Simon Cowell had spent a lifetime suppressing. How does the most powerful man in the room become its most isolated? You build walls. Professional ones. Emotional ones. Identity becomes armor. And eventually,
You forget how to take it off. The psychological pattern, the control, the precision, the constant need to shape outcomes. It wasn't just business. It was protection. Because when everything is controlled, nothing can surprise you. Nothing can hurt you. But life doesn't respect control. The turning point. Years passed. The empire expanded. The persona solidified. And then, everything slowed down. Age changes things. Energy shifts. Priorities evolve. The things that once felt urgent start to feel distant. And for Simon Cowell, the shift was undeniable. A serious electric bike accident. A moment. A single moment. And suddenly, control was gone. Recovery wasn't just physical. It was psychological.
Because when your identity is built on dominance, being forced into stillness is devastating. Back to the silence. Back to the quiet. Back to the reflection. Back to the questions. Who are you when you're not the judge? Who are you when the spotlight dims? Who are you when there's no one left to critique but yourself? The man today. At 65, Simon Cowell is not the same man. The sharp edges, softer. The delivery, quieter. The presence, different. Not weaker, just changed. He has a son now, a different kind of responsibility, a different kind of legacy, not built on ratings, but on something far more fragile. Time. The real tragedy. This isn't a story about downfall. It's a story about transformation. Because the real tragedy isn't that Simon Cowell lost control. It's that he spent a lifetime believing control was the answer, when in reality, it was the berry.
And if you go back to the boy in London, back to the quiet hunger, back to the need for approval, you start to see it clearly. Every decision, every risk, every harsh word, every success, all leading back to one moment, one unresolved question. Was it ever enough? Because for Simon Cowell, the empire he built may have saved him, or it may have been the very thing that cost him everything.